288-EWTN. Additionally, you are very welcome to go out to EWTN's YouTube channel and Facebook page and to use the chat feature there to send your questions, comments, insights, inspirations to me through that method as well. Our producer, Jeff Burson, will go right on out there and he will grab them and get them up on the board. So many things going on today. Oh my gracious sakes, my mind is reeling because there's so much that's happening personally in my own world, but also, here in this world of ours. Many of the cities are reopening. We talked a little bit yesterday about the masks to be worn at church or not to be worn at church. Church is opening, church is not opening. How it is that we receive the Blessed Sacrament in the hand or on the tongue. Why is it that way? What is the church saying about that? What is the USCCB, the United States Conference of Catholic Bishops, saying about that? What is your bishop saying about that? We had a very interesting discussion yesterday on that and so many other topics, and we're eager to discuss just whatever it is that you want. But it's Wednesday, and you know what Wednesday is. It's Wacky Wednesday, which means that Sue Brinkmann is with us, and we have a topic all lined up that we're going to go through with you today. See if any of this makes sense to you, especially in light of what we have been experiencing through this pandemic. You might be very interested to hear in what we have to say. Now, before we get into all of that, though, I want to get you out to our website, womenofgrace.com. because all kinds of things are taking place through Women of Grace right now. And I want to make you very aware of our Benedicta Institute for Women. It is an institute for women that helps women to live the reality of their authentic femininity. It gives them direction and guidance as they take those truths into their professions, into their occupations, into their daily lives, into their family life, into their churches, into their communities. All of these ways become enhanced when we as women know who we are. And it is to that end that we offer these very special courses, if you will, through our Benedicta Institute for Women. June 8th, 9th, and 10th, we're going to be having an Institute for Women from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern Time. And I am so excited because Father Nathan Cromley is going to be with us. And I love this topic. This topic is so important. It is so encouraging. It's so uplifting for women, so uplifting for you. And here it is. It's Guardians of Hope, the genius of feminine leadership and its urgency today. Let me read that again. Guardians of Hope, the genius of feminine leadership and its urgency today. This presentation through the Benedicta Institute for Women is going to run for 3 evenings, June 8th, 9th, and 10th from 7 to 9 p.m. Father Nathan Cromley is our presenter. It is going to be fantastic. I know this because Father Nathan Cromley presented for us last year at our Benedicta Institute for Women, and the women were just agog, at what he shared with them. The conversations that were going on in our discussion times and that were going on at the tables for dinner and for lunch were just amazing. Why? Because what he is going to share with us is revolutionary in terms of how we see ourselves, how we see the world, and what we see as our purpose and mission in light of all of that. So I do want for you to join us, and we're limiting this. We're limiting this to 100 participants. And I can tell you, I mentioned it yesterday on radio. We sent it out through the email to our list over the weekend, and it's filling up fast. So don't miss out on this marvelous opportunity. June 8th, 9th, and 10th, 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Benedicta Institute for Women presents Guardians of Hope, the genius of feminine leadership and its urgency today. We want you to join us for this beautiful event that's taking place. Also on our website, we have information for you about the virtual retreat that we will be holding this year in July. Typically that's the month we go to Melbourne. We so look forward to being at Melbourne, but given the situation that we're in right now with the pandemic, it's necessary for us to be very cautionary. So we're going to do it virtually this year, and we've got all of the information for you out there as well. So this is a really rich time through Women of Grace, and we want for you to participate in every bit of it. So go on out there to our website, take a look at what's there for you. The Benedicta Institute for Women is number 1 in the slideshow. I can assure you, you will not be sorry. You will not be sorry that you attend. It's going to be just absolutely fantastic. And we continue to offer you these beautiful webinars, these beautiful courses through our Benedicta Institute for Women, because it is so very important. And I think it's absolutely essential for us to live out the reality of who we are as women and who it is that God wants us to be. What we share with others matters. And I have a beautiful little quote that a friend sent to me last week. I sure hope she's listening. She sent this to me last week. I thought it was lovely. It's a quote that was given to us by Placid Jordan. He was a Benedictine monk. He's gone on to his eternal reward, I do believe. He was really a secular journalist during the Second World War, very well known, as a matter of fact, and reported, about the atrocities that were going on in Germany, and did that through the light of our Catholic faith. Nonetheless, he, after that was all over, became a Benedictine monk. And this is what he writes about women. I want you to hear this. Ladies, perk up your ears. Gentlemen, perk up your ears. Here it is. Amidst this pitched battle between darkness and light, it is a woman's specific calling to restore the right balance, which is the prerequisite of all stability. I didn't read that very well. Let me read it again. Placid Jordan wrote, amidst this pitched battle between darkness and light, it is a woman's specific calling to restore the right balance, which is a prerequisite of all stability. Ladies, we could ponder that particular quotation, take it into our prayer time. We could sit there and reflect on it for hours, I think. Allow the Holy Spirit to give us the light that we need to see the truth that is behind these words. We have a key role to play today. God is calling us into leadership positions, not because he doesn't have men to go to, but because perhaps at this moment, what is required is this feminine charism to restore right balance in a time of instability, that we might once again move smoothly and swiftly through this time because we have achieved stabilizing the realities. Very important for us. Anyway, you hear that music. We're going to go to the break. Looking forward to hearing from you. 833-288-EWTN. That's 833-288-3986. Sue Brinkmann with us. Oh my goodness. Can't wait to get to the topic today. Perk your ears up once again. More coming to you on the other side of the break. I'm Johnnette Williams. This is Women of Grace Live. We're coming right back. 833-288-3986.
This is Conversations with Consequences, where we delve deeper into issues affecting our church, our country, and our core, the family.
As Catholics, we need to be informed, aware, and able to talk through some of the tough topics that we're facing in our culture and in our world. Conversations with Consequences gives us the tools to do so.
It's not enough to pray. We have to be a light for the world.
Conversations with Consequences, this Saturday at 5 p.m. Eastern on EWTN Radio.
St. Hildegard of Bingen was a mystic, an abbess, a botanist, a saint, and a doctor of the Church.
Matthew Bunsen and the Doctors of the Church.
Hildegard had her first visions at the age of 3, which she called the shade of the living light. She later wrote about them in works declared by St. Bernard of Clairvaux to be from God. Pope Benedict XVI agreed when he named her only one of 4 doctors of the Church who are women in 2012.
For more about the Doctors of the Church, visit doctorsofthechurch.com.
Father Benedict Rochelle.
Some great people have shown respect for God. Can I read you a little quotation from Albert Einstein, who many times showed a great respect for religion and was one of the great admirers of Pope Pius XII for his stand against the Holocaust during the Second World War. Einstein wrote, "The fairest thing we can experience is the mysterious. It's the fundamental emotion that stands at the cradle of all true art and science. A knowledge of the existence of something we can't penetrate. of the manifestations of the profoundest reason and the most radiant beauty, which are only accessible to our minds in their most elementary form. It is this knowledge and this emotion that constitute the truly religious attitude. Oh my, so beautifully said.
The people you know and trust are on EWTN.
Encouraging women in their gift of authentic femininity. Here's more Women of Grace with Johnnette Williams.
Well, welcome back, friends. You are listening to Women of Grace Live. I am Johnnette Williams, absolutely excited and delighted to be with you today. We certainly do. Expect your phone call coming in to us right here. We've got Ryan Penny on the phones, and he's looking forward to it almost as much as me. And here's the number for you to use. It's toll free for you here in North America. It's 833-288-EWTN. That's 833-288-3986. Don't be shy. Just pick up the phone, give us a call. We're very friendly in these parts. We do want to hear from you. Additionally, I am eager to have you go out to EWTN Radio's YouTube channel and Facebook page. You can connect with us there. Use the chat feature. Put your question, comment, insight, inspiration, word of encouragement in there. And it will be retrieved by Jeff Burson, who is our social media manager and also our producer, and he'll get it up on the board. We'll be able to chit-chat that way, too. It is Wednesday. Sue Brinkmann is with us. We've got a big topic coming up here. Hope your ears are opened wide to hear what she's going to share with us. And we are also looking forward to getting your thoughts on what the topic is today or anything else that's going on in your world. Sue, welcome, welcome, welcome.
Oh, I'm so happy to be here today.
I'm so glad you're here, too. And, you know, I really want to congratulate you because you've been doing research on a particular topic for a long time. And it's something that is what I want to say. It's a little touchy. It's a little touchy because of the pandemic, because there's been information circulated that is not helpful, but it's been presented as being very helpful. And it seemed to have, if you will, the imprimatur of a bishop on it, and it involves an apparition of Our Lady. And you've had to travel through diverse kinds of circles to get to the individuals that you needed to get to be able to provide us with the insight and wisdom that you're going to share right now. So tell us, what am I talking about?
Well, and I have to thank you first before I begin, because you were a staunch supporter of mine and kept me going. Keep looking, keep looking. You're going to get to the bottom of this. You're going to get to the bottom of this. But it was a message supposedly given by Our Lady to a seer named Luz de Maria, and she supposedly told her on June the 3rd, 2016, about the use of an essential oil blend, which she called the oil of the Good Samaritan, that could be used as a preventive measure against infectious outbreaks. And on January 28th, 2020, she once again referred to this oil of the Good Samaritan. This was right as COVID-19 was breaking across the world, and saying that this should be used, this particular blend of oil, and that if you could use just the quantity of the head of a pin, and you would put it on your earlobes, and if the pandemic got worse, that you could then put it on both sides of the neck and on the wrists of both hands, which was a little ritualistic sounding to me, but, you know, whatever. I just kind of kept researching. And the oils that were contained in this are cinnamon, cloves, rosemary, lemon, and eucalyptus. And this is the same blend that has been used as known as thieves' oil. And it's associated with this legend of four thieves who supposedly robbed the bodies of victims of the bubonic plague, and they survived. They didn't get any infection. And as they were being condemned to death, the judge said, "Hey, if you tell me how you escaped, you know, I'll let you go." And they said, "Well, you know, we're using these spices or these, you know, oils, blends, and whatever." And so that's come down through the centuries now as thieves' oil. It's been used in witchcraft. Of course, essential oils in themselves are very intimately associated with witchcraft. But they use them for protection. Today's essential oil distributors claim that it improves the immune system. and that it protects people from infections such as the flu and viruses, these are contagious diseases. So that was the big red flag to me right there, because church teaching is that you have to use ordinary means. You cannot use alternatives exclusively now. You can't, I mean, if you are using an antibiotic and then want to use something else, that's fine. An alternative, then you can do that, but you can't use it in place of something. So what complicates it is that a bishop from Nicaragua, this kind of raised a red flag to me too, because it was why didn't her ordinary, who would have been in Argentina, because that's where she lives. She's Costa Rican born, but she lives in Argentina. Why didn't the ordinary put the imprimatur? But, I just went with it. Okay, it was a Monsignor Mata of Estili, Nicaragua, and he approved her messages from 2009 to 2017. And these would include, of course, the recipe for the Good Samaritan oil. Nobody really approved its use for this COVID. Nobody approved the 2020 message. That one's kind of hanging out there in the ozone somewhere. But anyway, it's being promoted all over the internet as being a church-approved protection against the coronavirus. And, it sounds very convincing when you read their websites, but it contradicts church teaching. In the ethical and religious directives for healthcare services, which we refer to as the ERDs, these are based on the teaching of John Paul II. The directive states that a person has a moral obligation to use ordinary or proportionate means of preserving his or her life. This is particularly true in the case of life-threatening or communicable diseases. So why would Our Lady be recommending something like this and not attaching to it some sort of precaution about, medical precautions and public health policy that's in effect? And alternatives, people like to say, but, they work. But you know what? Even the insiders in the industry, such as Dr. Russell Osguthorpe, that's who I quoted in here. He's an infectious disease physician, but he's chief medical officer for doTERRA. And he told Salon in March 2020, hey, we don't claim that our products prevent, treat, or cure any illnesses or diseases, including COVID-19. So that really raised the question to me, why would Our Lady suggest this? Suggest the use of something that is neither scientifically proven or in accord with local public health policy? She would be telling you to obey public health policy, because that's what we're supposed to do as Catholics. We're supposed to obey. Not only church teaching, but also those who have been put in authority over us. So I went and I sought out some experts, and one of them, who was just really a great guy, Michael O'Neill. He's the author of Virgin, Mother, and Queen, and he's the creator of MiracleHunter.com. A lot of people go to that website. It's very, very interesting. And he said to me, St. Bernadette might have pointed out the waters of Lourdes by Our Lady. That was a little bit different, though. I mean, she wasn't giving him a recipe for something. She was just saying, hey, this water is now blessed for you to use. He said she does not recommend natural remedies or flout medical advice in her apparitions.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that. I was going to ask about that,
because that to be non-standard.
That's right. And even as you're sharing the story, it just sounds very unblessed mother-like, It's just not her. It's not just what she does. It does not, on the other hand, sound very demon-like, and we do know that many times the demonic will appear as a saint or even the Blessed Mother. I remember, I think it was Catherine of Siena had what she thought was an apparition of Our Blessed Lady, and she took it to her spiritual director, and he said, that was not Our Blessed Lady. That was the evil one. So I figure if a saint can be tricked, we can be tricked, but it is not, it wouldn't be outside of the purview of the demonic to appear as Our Blessed Mother to give advice and counsel on things, especially things like this.
Especially. And I also, it raised a big question in my mind. Why would she use the same formula that has been used in witchcraft for protection? Why would she do that? That didn't make any sense to me. So many red flags. And then as I went and sought out people to help me, they were all seeing the same things that I was seeing. And Mike O'Neill, he says, be careful about getting wrapped up in these unapproved apparitions. This apparitions are not church approved. This is not approved by the church. But he says, when you get too wrapped up in that, can cause great challenges to your faith. And I'm sure a lot of people are wondering and scratching their heads right now and wondering, I've been using this. I've been spreading the word about this, and now I'm finding out it's against church teaching and that Our Lady probably didn't say it. There is no decision yet on the church about these visions to Luz de Maria. So be very, very careful about it. And also Father Tad Bukolchik from the National Catholic Bioethics Center, he weighed in on this as well. And he said that you've got to be careful about, buying into these promises of all kinds of, healing through essential oils or other forms that seem to be like magic solutions. They're a way, but he says really what that is a way for us to stay in control rather than, confront fears about entering into these, a deeper acceptance of the divine plan, which could mean leading some of us to the valley of death. And he points it out and he says very clearly, God intends for us to use science and medicine to push back disease. And a lot of people, even on Facebook, went after that and said, how could he say that? How could he say that? Because of this big pharma conspiracy theory. And too often people are looking at church teaching through that lens. And church teaching has nothing to do with big pharma, with being pro or, against big pharma. It all has to do with the virtues of justice and charity. Justice, we have a duty to protect our bodies and to take care of our bodies, the bodies of our loved ones, and the bodies of our community. And it's considered to be an act of love to do that. That's where our church teaching comes. It has nothing to do with the pharmaceutical industry, but people are looking at it through that lens, and they're saying to themselves, big pharma is evil, and by me using these natural means, I'm therefore, avoiding evil. And so you can see that in a way, it's a good thing for them to, they're trying to avoid being with evil is what they're trying to do. They're trying to avoid that. So that's a good thing. Only they're doing it in the wrong way. They're doing it the wrong way. You don't do that, it's just, this has gotten a very, very widespread all over the internet, this whole thing about using the thieves' oil. And it's just wrong. And it's not something we have to be attributing to Our Lady. And we really have to be looking at the facts. We have to look at the hard science behind this. There is no science that backs up. There are antimicrobial aspects to some essential oils. That's very true. We know that. But there also is some to, vinegar and garlic. I mean, it's right. But they aren't in the quantity or the quality that they can be useful for this. And if they could be, we would be using them for that. People like to say Big Pharma doesn't want it because it's too cheap. That's baloney. Big Pharma there's a certain act that was passed back in, 1987 or something, called the Orphan Drug Act. And it actually incentivizes drug manufacturers to make these different drugs that aren't going to make a lot of money. There's no truth to that they just don't want to do it because it's too cheap. I've also had some people say the reason that we aren't using essential oils is because even though they are drugs, to go through the FDA, it would be too expensive and it's too much red tape. And I think to myself, wait a minute now, how could that be true if in 2024 the essential oil industry is going to be worth $25 billion? They have the money to get tested if they want to be used as drugs. They have the money. What might be going on. Go ahead.
No, that's all right. Go ahead. We have a bit of a delay here, friends. This is what we're dealing with. Go ahead, Sue.
I think so too. What might be the problem is that they don't want to have the FDA find out that what's in the bottles that they're selling you is not the drug that you could use. That's the problem with the testing. They're testing an ingredient from it, not necessarily what's in those bottles that they're selling. That might be a reason why they don't want to go to the FDA. They don't want to have that uncovered because that would uncover their business. I'm just, that's been some speculation out there by people. So you have to be very, very careful with this and watch that big pharma thing. Big pharma conspiracy theory in many ways, that's nothing but a big hoax. And you got to be very careful that you're not letting this lead you away from church teaching.
833-288-EWTN. That's 833-288-3986. Sue Brinkmann with us today on this Wacky Wednesday. We're talking about thieves' oil, or oil of the Good Samaritan, as it's sometimes referred to, and the controversy that seems to be existing because it is claimed to have been church approved and sanctioned by our Blessed Mother herself. So does any of that sound plausible to you? We want to know what you think right here on Women of Grace Live, 833-288-3986. Again, that's 833-288-EWTN. Well, Sue, I have to agree with you on a number of points here. And, I think that there is a middle ground that is achievable. And I think that essential oils, obviously the scent of many of them is quite lovely. We do know that there is something about, scents that can soothe you or make you remember happy thoughts or whatever the case is. So, obviously God gives us all of these things for our benefit and our advantage. It's important to remember that God created the world for man. He didn't create man for the world, right? He created the world for man. It became the habitat. He set it up so that when he was going to create man, as he created him, male and female, they would have all they would need in order to survive and to do well. Death was never part of God's plan. We know that came by way of original sin, the failure of Eve first, and then her seduction of her husband, and it was when he fell that original sin entered into the world. So it wasn't part of God's plan. God does want for us to experience health, however. Unfortunately, the great reality is that all of us are going to die. That is the ultimate effect of original sin. And it says so in Hebrews. It is appointed a man to die once and then the judgment. We're not going to be reincarnated. None of that stuff is going to happen. You're going to live this life. You're going to die, and God is going to judge you based on the way in which you lived your life according to his plan or not according to his plan. That being said, for the duration that we have life, he wants for us to enjoy it, to experience health and well-being. The question is, what gives us the greatest advantage towards that? And I wanted to point out to you, too, my agreement, Sue, with the fact that you say that there seems to be this divide in people's. They have a bifurcated brain when it comes to health, in that, if natural versus pharmaceutical. It's a divide that's really based on the fact it's either, church or it is science. And our faith does not reject science. Our faith incorporates science. Man discovers nothing that God hasn't already created. It's just a discovery of what he's given to us in the natural order. Phone lines are lighting up. We're going to take your calls when we come back to the break. You probably hear that happy little music there. It's sending us off, 833-288-EWTN. That's 833-288-3986. Get out to EWTN Radio's YouTube channel and Facebook page. Use the chat feature there. We'll take your questions that way, too. We'll take your comments as well. You're listening to Women of Grace Live. I'm Johnnette Williams, joined today by Sue Brinkmann. We're going to be right back, inviting you to stay with us.
Come spend some time with our Lord in the Blessed Sacrament. EWTN is streaming live Eucharistic adoration from the EWTN Chapel right now. Visit EWTN.com/Catholicism/adoration.
Hi friends, Johnnette Williams here. Would you like some good news in your inbox? Sign up for our daily grace lines to receive a daily reflection that includes a quote from sacred scripture or your favorite saint, a beautiful image, and a question for pondering. In less than 5 minutes per day, it is sure to inspire you to live deeply your Catholic faith. Sign up today at womenofgrace.com/sign up or text Women of Grace in all caps to 22828.
Brothers and sisters, listen to me very carefully right now. For the Christian, this is something we have to keep in mind. No matter how bad your suffering gets in this life, it all comes to pass. Eternal glory comes to stay. St. John de Rebuff, one of the most brutal martyrs in the history of the church, as he was being tortured and killed, said to the people who were being tortured with him, "My brothers, the trials we're enduring will pass in a moment. The glory that follows will never end." Listen, the trial that we're in right now will pass. Statistically, for most people, even if you get this virus, you're going to be home with your family again. But even if that doesn't happen, even if you end up going home to your Heavenly Father, No matter how bad it gets, remember this. All pain and suffering come to an end. God, Revelations tells us, will wipe every tear from their eye. The final word is He is risen. The end of the story is eternal glory. God bless you.
For more, text Chris at 44144. This is Chris Stefanik on EWTN Radio.
I'm Gloria Purvis.
I'm Monsignor Charles Pope. Now I'm Deacon Harold. The Morning Glory team discusses, are we striving for sainthood when no one is watching?
Tomorrow morning, 7 Eastern. Now back to Women of Grace with Johnnette Williams.
Transforming the world one woman at a time. Let's return to Women of Grace with Johnnette Williams.
Welcome back, friends. You are listening to Women of Grace Live. I am Johnnette Williams. Very happy to be with you today. It's a Wacky Wednesday in these parts, and we've got Sue Brinkmann with us. We're talking today about thieves' oil, or as it's also called, oil of the Good Samaritan. Talking about, does this cure COVID-19? Does this prevent us from getting viruses? And did Our Lady really tell us to use it? Those are the questions we're discussing today. Sue's done the research on it. We're inviting you to weigh in on the discussion about that or anything else that's going on. Let me give you the number. It is 833-288-EWTN. That's 833-288-3986. It's toll-free for you right here in North America. Another toll-free way to get your comment up here is to use EWTN Radio's YouTube channel or Facebook page. Use the chat feature, put it out there. We'll get it, and we'll address it right here on Women of Grace Live, where we do love having that holy conversation with you. Encouraging you to get out to our website, womenofgrace.com. Read all about it there in slideshow 1, the Benedicta Institute for Women, presenting a beautiful, beautiful webinar. It's not a webinar. It's really a course. I've got to change my language. I'm so used to saying webinar because of this virtual environment in which we live. But it's a course that's going to be presented over 3 evenings, the 8th, the 9th, the 10th of June, from 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Father Nathan Cromley with us, talking about woman as the guardian of hope, why feminine leadership helps for her to do exactly that. Well, here we are, and this is a big topic, Sue, and phone lines are lighting up. Are you ready to go to the phone lines?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, let's go to Maria. She's calling us from Indianapolis, Indiana this morning. She is listening to us via air. Maria, good morning, Maria.
Hi, I was just calling. Thank you so much, Johnnette, for your show. I super appreciate it. You're a true woman of faith, and it's just inspiring to listen to you.
Well, thank you.
And Sue Brinkmann, thank you for your thoughts on many topics. It's very interesting and enlightening to hear you, too. I have to say that I strongly disagree with you on the Samaritan oil, though, and I'll tell you why. So I'm trained as a scientist, but then I just went through a radical conversion experience, and I experienced what it is to have faith, and I never understood that before. And I think if you come at this from a materialism point of view, of course it makes no sense to wear a little bit of clove, a little bit of garlic, I mean cinnamon, and think that that's going to prevent COVID. But if you come at it from a materialism stance, holy water makes no sense. Blessed salt makes no sense. And I can tell you from experience that these things are extremely powerful and effective. And if you don't believe that, then I think you need to really look back at the history of the church and how God uses small acts of faith, like, hey, go jump in the river 7 times, and the person with leprosy says, that makes no sense. And the prophet says, this is what God told me that you should do, and he would heal you. You want something harder? And so the person goes and jumps into the river 7 times, and his leprosy melts away. Now, if you don't believe that, then I don't know what to tell you, because that's faith. That's not materialism. And if a vetted prophet of our modern times, who has been a reliable person for many years, tells us that the Blessed Mother gives us this gift of Samaritan oil to protect us from COVID, as an act of humility, as an act of faith, I see no problem in putting that on and believing that the Blessed Mother herself is going to protect you. It's not the oil. You understand what I'm saying? This is a small act of faith.
I do. Those are very, very good points, and I'm so happy that you brought that up. You have to be very careful in these things, Maria, that you don't get moved from just using something in faith and then tempting God. to say, hey, I know that there's no science behind this, but I believe that you can heal me because you use such and such to heal people in your day, or they used frankincense, or they used myrrh in your day. And so I believe that by using this, you're going to heal me. Because there is no scientific proof that these things will do the things. And you can't compare the early to holy water because the church has approved the use of that. The church has not approved the use of Good Samaritan oil. And the church does teach that we are to use things that have been proven, ordinary means, things that have been proven scientifically to work. And we don't really have that with Good Samaritan oil. I mean, maybe one day we would, but we don't have that now. So you really couldn't say that just using that, and because you're using it in faith, you're automatically going to be protected. Because what you're doing there is you're not following the teaching of the church. And what you're doing is superstitious medicine. That's the definition of it, is using something even though you know it hasn't been proven, but you're using it anyway. That's when you're moving into the realm of superstition. And you also can take that even further by tempting God to say, hey, okay, I'm believing in you, now heal me. So you got to be very careful about that. That's what I just told you about, the superstitious medicine and tempting God. That's a Thomistic approach to it.
Blessed salt and holy water have been scientifically proven. I mean,
no. You're taking something that's by faith, that's used in faith, and you're trying to extrapolate that into being something that you're saying scientifically is going to heal you of something. We don't say using holy water is going to heal you or prevent the coronavirus. Nobody says that.
Okay.
We're not saying that to you. You see what I'm saying? It's two different things that you're trying to, it's apples and oranges.
Fatima. It took us 40 years to listen to our Blessed Mother's messages at Fatima. I don't know that we have that kind of time in this situation, so I don't see any harm. Not that people are going to go out and do stupid stuff, but they could put this Good Samaritan oil on and say a prayer for protection to our Blessed Mother. I see nothing wrong with that, and I don't see
They can do that. They can do that.
The holy water,
but they can't go out there and say that they're wearing Good Samaritan oil and now they're protected and not follow public health policy. And Our Lady would never give that recommendation and never say and exclude a warning to you to use public health policy because of obedience. Our Lady knows what the church teaching is. She would never have said that. And we can't be acting as if this apparition is true. It does not have any church approval. This has not been proven to be supernatural yet. We have one bishop from Nicaragua who gave it an imprimatur, and he only gave really part of it. He didn't give anything about COVID-19. So there's a lot of big holes in this one. It's not quite as easy as that. But they're good points, Maria, and I do appreciate you raising them.
Materialism as your starting and ending point, you're never going to get there, because God.
Maria, define physics, just so that we have our terminology correct here, and then we're going to have to move on to the next caller. When you say materialism, what do you mean by that? Materialism, as an ism, means that we believe only in what we can see and evaluate in this world, that we don't believe in an afterlife. So I don't think that you really mean materialism.
Or in anything supernatural, that you're just discounting anything supernatural, and God has shown over and over in the Scripture that He suspends the laws of physics anytime He feels like it.
Right, and I don't think that we disagree with that. I think that we're in total agreement with regard to the fact that God intervenes in the history of man, and we call those interventions miracles. And so I think that we all agree with that. We know that sacred Scripture proves that to be the case, and we know that even in our own lives we've all experienced those interventions by the Lord. I think the question here, however, has to do with the oil, thieves' oil, being promoted as a preventative and a curative for the COVID virus. And I think and it's a subtle difference, because you are right. He will ask us to do the ridiculous so He can do the miraculous. That's one of Mother Angelica's famous quotes. And we saw that at Lourdes, and we see it in other places. But I think that in the case of this essential oil, the way that this is being presented is that it's the oil itself that is causing it's the essential of the oil that's causing this protection. In holy water or blessed oil that the church uses, the emphasis is not on the substance itself; it's on the blessing that's on the substance. And so essentially there's no, in Our Lady's message there's nothing that says, take this oil and have it blessed and then use it. She's saying, apparently in this apparition, what's been reported is that she's saying, no, this is a cure. Use this is a cure. Well, if it is a cure, then science is going to prove that it's a cure. We don't have that science to prove it. We don't have the science to prove that any of the essential oils are curative. And so, science has to continue to research that until such time as it comes to a definitive conclusion. But as the conclusion is, and as it stands now, is that it's not a curative property. So it's not quite the same. It's not Our Blessed Lady saying, pray the rosary and God will intervene. A prayer, he's always going to intervene. It's saying, and it's not the same as the holy water or the blessed oil or the blessed salt, which promotes the blessing on it, not the substance. This is saying the substance itself is curative. And I think that that's the area of dispute here. Not so much can God, intervene in the history of man. We know that he does. Not so much, can we use an essential oil because it smells good and we like it. No, that's not the point. It's the point of attributing to that reality, to that substance, a property that hasn't been proven to be there, and an endorsement by an apparition that hasn't been proven to be true, or factual, that it is an apparition. So I think that that's the difference here. And we always wait for church approval. This is why on Women of Grace, people will write to us and say, well, did you hear about this apparition? My first question is, what does the church say? Because we can be very easily misled. And it wouldn't be unlike the evil one to perform, that kind of an apparition, making a statement that presents something to people in which they would put a false hope or a false expectation only to lead them into a bad situation. That's what he does. So if the church approves, that's one thing. If the church doesn't approve, we wait for the church to approve an apparition. Medjugorje is a prime example. Many people have been there, and the fruit of Medjugorje is tremendous, but the church has not yet pronounced. So we wait in obedience and patience. So, and I agree with Sue. I think it's good that you raised this, and I am so happy that faith now enlightens and informs the vocation that God's entrusted to you as a scientist. But we, nonetheless, can't assume one over the other. They work together. One does not contradict the other. Fides et ratio, that beautiful encyclical by John Paul II tells us that faith and reason, it's not reasonable to expect this to do it when nothing says that it does it. So I think that that's really where the question is and where it lies. But thank you, Maria, and thank you for calling in today, and thank you for providing us with such an interesting discussion. I really do appreciate it. Let's get to Brian. He's in Niagara Falls, New York today. Station of the Cross is the way that he is with us. Good morning, Brian. How are you? Hi, Brian. Oh, we don't have Brian on the air. We've got Helen on the air. She's in Johnsburg, Illinois, and she's a first-time caller. And we're happy you're with us, Helen. And I don't have my first-time caller bell, but I'll do a ding, ding, ding for you. How are you today?
I'm doing good, thank you.
Good.
So hopefully I won't lose you because I'm in the car as well.
Oh, okay. Go ahead, hon.
I have to say that I agree with our caller, and I somewhat disagree with what you're saying here as well. God did give us these plants. And in history, back in time, before the pharmaceutical companies even came to pass, we had to use plants. We had to use these plant materials to overcome diseases, to help heal ourselves, to do all this stuff. And so the world is just kind of evolving back into that again and getting away from the pharmaceuticals and coming back into the essential oils. Now, I understand what you're saying about the church not approving and things like that, and I can agree or disagree with that. It doesn't really matter, but I think that people need to use common sense when it comes to this and not say, oh, this oil is going to heal you. We can't say that because of the FDA. I understand that, but these oils are pretty intelligent. They're pretty miraculous. And the fact that God gave them to us in the first place, I mean, why did he give us clove and cinnamon and rosemary and all of these oils that are in even the Thieves Blend? Why were they even there? They're there for a reason. So if these oils have all of these, they're antibacterial, they're antispasmodic, they're all of those anti-words, then they do work. And just because the church doesn't approve them doesn't mean that we can't use them to help heal our bodies.
Well, I don't think that we would disagree with that. Sue, I'm going to let you weigh in here, but I don't think that you've heard us say that which that there is no benefit to plant life, or there's no benefit to some natural remedies. I don't think that you've heard us say that. The question is, does this particular oil prevent COVID-19? And that's the question that we have at hand. And should you make a decision between, medical science that has proven certain things and go completely naturopathic? A lot of people have done that, and that is their decision. Is that a reasonable decision? I don't know. I mean, I really don't know. What we do know is that the statistics might suggest that it's better to maybe make a blend of those things than to choose, the natural way over the other way. But, we know that there are curative properties within plants. There's a lot of medications that have come as a result of plants. We know that to be the case. Look at the way that we get morphine from opium, that comes to us from poppy plants. So I don't think that you're hearing, I don't want you to hear that we're saying that none of this is the question. The question that we're talking about today is, does thieves oil prevent COVID-19? Did Our Lady say that COVID-19 can be repelled by thieves oil? And that's the real question at hand. Sue, go ahead.
And yeah, Helen, these are really good points again that you're raising, and I appreciate your doing that. Yes, people did in ancient times, and even up to like 100 years ago, they relied on plants. That's all they had as medicine. But you got to keep in mind that people had a very short lifespan during that era as well. And once we were able to take those plants through God's gift of science and be able to make them into substances that were more easily assimilated by the body and were more effective in treating us, look at what's happened to us. And we've become so much healthier because of that. So we've got to be careful about that too. You don't want to go backward and just completely ignore science. You certainly don't want to do that. And also, you made a statement that just because the church doesn't approve of essential oils, it's not a matter of approving of essential oils. It doesn't approve of methods of healing that have not been proven scientifically, whether that be essential oil, whether it be homeopathy, Reiki, any of the others. It doesn't approve of those for the use of anything contagious or life-threatening. So there's a very important distinction to make there. You can use them for other things. You can use them for aromatherapy, different methods that they use, as Johnnette was talking about. The scent of lavender is very calming and soothing to people. You can use them for that. They're fine, but you can't use them for anything infectious and life-threatening. And that's really where the big red flag was for me in this whole thing. I mean, I use lemon essential oil. I mix 10 drops in 2 cups of water, and I spray that on anything I want to keep my cats off of because they don't like citrus. So, you can use them. There's nothing evil in them at all. And the church doesn't say, oh, we're against essential oils. They have never said anything like that. But they have said, no, you can't use an unproven alternative to treat anything infectious or life-threatening, because that's an offense against charity and justice. It has nothing to do with big pharma. That's against those two virtues, which is according to the teaching of Jesus Christ. So that's really a distinction I just want to make sure we make with you. The church is not saying that they don't approve of essential oils. They are not saying that at all. You can use them, but you have to use them reasonably and not, say things like what we're saying here, that Our Lady's saying, oh yeah, use it to prevent COVID. I mean, even doTERRA is saying it doesn't do that. So we shouldn't be doing that.
Yeah.
I hope that helps you, Helen.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Well, just wanted to give you my 2 cents on this. That's all.
Well, we do appreciate it, Helen. Thank you so very much. And these are confusing matters because sometimes it does seem as though, Sue, it's splitting hairs. But what we know is that the devil is in the details,
Yes,
all of
yes.
the time. So it's important to look at it that way. And I think that, you made a reference there to St. Thomas Aquinas, a Thomistic perspective. It's important for us to use reason in evaluating these things. And there's so much hype out there that comes to us from both angles that we have to be very, very discerning. And I'll tell you what Our Lady would like to do. She would like to help us discern. So we should pray to her and ask for her intercession. We've got Brian with us. He is in Niagara Falls, New York today. Station of the Cross is the way he's with us. Good morning, Brian. How are you?
I'm great, Johnnette. Congratulations on your wedding. I haven't talked to you since before you were married. So
oh, my goodness. Well, thank you. We just celebrated our 2nd anniversary on May 25th. Can you imagine?
Yes. Reason I'm calling, the thieves caught my attention. My wife was given a thieves product for cleaning, and it's like an air freshener thing. I know it's got cloves in there and maybe nutmeg, cinnamon. I don't know. I wanted to know if anything with thieves you should stay away from it.
Oh, no. You can actually use it for cleaning and things. That's fine. Actually, doTERRA, I think, has a spray. I think it's called On Guard. And that you can use almost as a sanitizer, the way we're using sanitizer for hands, only because it has 64% alcohol in it. So anything that has 60% or more of alcohol in it, you could use for that purpose. And that particular product does have that. You could use it. You can use it for cleaning and that sort of thing. You just can't be putting it on your earlobes and your neck and your wrist and telling yourself that you can, ward off COVID-19.
Does that help you, Brian?
Yes, I'm not at home. I can look at the bottle to see what the other ingredients are, but that's just the thing that said thieves, and I'm wondering, oh my gosh, is this something my wife shouldn't be using in the house at all?
No. It's perfectly okay to use it, yeah.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. And there's a brand out there that I really like to use because they use some herbs in there. They've got one of the hand washing soaps that has basil in it. That's probably my favorite. But at any rate, none of these things are wrong, and we're not ascribing good, bad, evil, holy to any of this. We're just talking about this one particular situation here, and it's important to do that. And here we are. We're coming to the close of our program. There's the music. So, Kathy, we're going to have to hold your call until another day, and we hope that you will call us back. Sue, I want to thank you so very much for all of this good research. I know it's controversial. I know that people sometimes, have invested, their faith in some of these products, and yet by the same token, we have got to be discerning, and you help us to do that. Thank you so much, Sue.
Thanks for having me.
You're quite welcome. And friends, we invite you to get out there to our website, womenofgrace.com, where we love to have you visit and find out what's going on at Women of Grace. All kinds of beautiful things are happening. We invite you to check it out. Bye-bye now.